Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Comes from the world of the ACC, okay? So this is really interesting, and I want to start off by saying this. On Tuesday night, so I'm recording here Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday night, Duke plays at Miami. Why is that noteworthy? It's noteworthy because a few days ago, there was a report that came out. It was actually on the day of the Duke-Illinois game. Multiple reports came out that Miami was going to hire Duke's lead assistant, Jay Lucas, as its head coach. Now, I thought it was interesting. The Miami people are saying it's done. Some of the national reporters are saying it's not quite done yet. Here's the truth. I know this because I know all of the, the relevant people, the people that are leaking this story to certain people. Sometimes if the local media says it's done, like I think it's basically done. Okay. And I think what the agents were why the national people are hesitant to say it's done is because they haven't been given the green light by whoever Jay Lucas's agent is to say that it's done. What I know I'm tripping over my words here. We're 55 minutes into the show. Forgive me, but I bring it up because Duke is playing at Miami, and what feels obvious is that they didn't want this story to leak before Duke has to go to Miami. Then, of course, John Shire has to answer questions about it. The players have to answer questions about it. Jay Lucas is in the building. And so I think in a perfect world, everybody at Duke and in this hiring process and at Miami even was hoping that this story would stay under wraps until after this game. It didn't. I think probably by the end of the week, Jay Lucas has probably officially accepted the job. Now, for people who do not know, he will coach throughout the end of the season. He's not leaving tomorrow. This isn't like when a coach leaves a team in a bowl game. You know, if Tennessee makes the Outback Bowl and their defensive coordinator gets a head coaching job, that's not this. He'll be there through the end of the season. Duke, like everybody, we all think Duke has a chance to win it all. So he might not actually land in Coral Gables until middle of April. But I believe by the end of this week, it'll be basically understood that he is going to be the head coach at Miami. And there's a conversation about how good will he be, first-time head coach, younger guy, 34, 35. I think he'll be really good. I think in this world, get out the old guys, get out the guys that are going to fight NIL. Jim Larinaga is a perfect example, whining about NIL a couple years after, his school rode NIL to the Final Four. Jay Lucas is young. He gets it. He gets what NIL is about. And he gets that this is the world of college basketball going forward, and I just have to accept it. I don't have to like it, but I have to accept it. So that's my Jay Lucas spiel. But now comes the interesting question, because this is the follow-up that everybody has, and I have some thoughts on it. What does it mean for the Boozer twins? Okay, so the Boozer twins, I think everybody, if you're still watching or you're listening on pod, you know this story. But the Boozer twins are the sons of Carlos Boozer. Carlos Boozer, Duke legend, his two sons, Cam Boozer. Cam Boozer might be the best player in high school basketball. I know AJ DeBonsa. I know Darren Peterson. I know Nate Ament. Cam Boozer has won everything there is to win. Gold medals. He's won Peach Jam like 4 years in a row. He is the number one, number two player in America, probably pretty much behind DeBonsa. On top of that, he has a twin brother, Cayden Boozer, who I think is a totally underrated five-star point guard. They're both McDonald's All-Americans. They're both committed to Duke. But this is where it gets interesting. People, they live in Miami. They're from Miami. And for a lot of the recruitment, there was a belief that they were going to stay home, that they were not going to go to Duke, even though their father played at Duke, and that they were going to stay in Miami. And the thought process is pretty simple. Cam Boozer's a lottery pick. He could play at Miami, he could play at Duke, he could play on the moon, he could play at Sacramento State. Doesn't really matter. He's going to be a lottery pick. So there's that element of it. Is they're from Miami. There was a thought they were going to be committed to Miami. Now, I never really bought it, but you listen to all the recruiting guys. Oh, no, it was Miami and Duke made a last-minute push. No. Duke was going to get it, but whatever. But Miami was the school they chose. They chose Duke over Miami. And Jay Lucas was the lead recruiter for the Boozer twins to Miami. So people are connecting dots. People are asking questions. People are wondering, is Jay Lucas going to be able to flip the Boozer twins to Miami? Let me just say this. It's a great story with a great narrative. And if things change in the next week or two, we will be all over it. I don't really believe it's going to happen. Okay. First of all, there's always a story every single year where a lead assistant goes somewhere and they think that they're going to bring this recruit with them. In general, recruits commit to programs, they commit to head coaches, and the lead assistant might be the guy who did the heavy recruiting. But it doesn't change the fact that very rarely do star players follow assistant coaches. Okay. I go back to last year. Remember when Alvin Brooks was hired from Baylor at Kentucky as Kentucky's lead assistant? For a day or two, the conversation was, is VJ Edgecombe coming with him? VJ Edgecombe's going to be a top 10 pick. I said, I don't think so. It'd be cool, but I don't think so. VJ Edgecombe stayed committed to Baylor. VJ Edgecombe stayed committed to Scott Drew. Now, you could argue this is a little bit different because Kentucky was not really in the mix. Mark Pope was not really in the mix for sure on VJ Edgecombe. In this one, the lead recruiter is going to the number 2 school. But I just find it hard to believe at this point that it is going to be anything other than Duke. Not because Miami's not a great choice, but it's not like John Shire's leaving. That's one. 2, it's not like John Shire has done anything to prove that he is not the best coach for these kids to play for. Because look, Cam Boozer is going to step into that Cooper Flagg role this year. Now, you could argue it's a little bit different. Cooper Flagg's a little bit of a different player. I don't disagree with that. But what I do disagree with is the idea that there's anywhere better for this kid than at Duke. I think the fact that his father's a legacy does matter. I think if they had committed to UCLA and then the lead assistant was going to Miami, the guy that recruited him, and now they could stay home, that'd be different than being at Duke, where their dad played, where they've been around. And again, I know they had a unique recruitment where they did consider other schools, but I just don't see it. The last thing, too, I just don't think at this point, and this is no disrespect to Jay Lucas, but if you're these two guys, are you going to risk your careers playing for a first-year head coach? It's not a knock. It's just a reality. Is you're going to leave Duke, where John Shire, you can criticize him, but year 2, they made the Elite 8. This was last year. They made the Elite 8. Remember, they lost to North Carolina State, but they made the Elite 8. This year, they're going to be a number 1 seed. They're going to win the ACC by 1,000,000 games. They're going to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the NCAA tournament. You can sit there and say he's not Coach K, whatever, but he's proven to be a pretty darn good head coach. And so to me, I think it's an interesting conversation. I think it's a fun conversation. And to be clear, I think Jay Lucas is going to be really good as a head coach, new age guy, the guy that you need. I don't think this is a scenario, though, where he will take the Boozer twins with him. By the way, like I said, if I'm wrong, I will own up to it, but I just don't see it happening.